Hi guys, Mark from Mind Frontiers. I want to talk today about anxiety. Now I've done some other videos on anxiety, but this is going to be done slightly different. The reason being is because when we have anxiety, things can get bigger. So I'm going to talk specifically about what we dwell upon gets bigger. That way we can look at what we're doing. So anxiety will start as we think about something and we have that feeling of being overwhelmed, or we have that fear of what's going to happen because it's based on the future. So when we think about the future, do we strategize or do we go, hang on, let's just go, yeah. What we tend to do is we build a story. So did I lock my car? Did I lock the door? Oh, the lock's not very good. Suddenly you're going to a shop to go and fix the lock that when the first thought was, did I lock it? So what we dwell upon grows. And this is very vital. We've got to stop it before it grows. So I'm going to read a little story to you. It's only a little quote, so it won't take too long. There's an old Cherokee man, so an old American Indian, with his grandson. And his grandson says, "Oh, tell me a story." And he goes, "Okay." And he says, "Grandson, there are two wolves. One's a good wolf, and one's a bad wolf." "Oh, right," said the grandson. "But which is the best and the strongest?" And the old man, he says, "Well, whichever one you feed." Well, let's break that down. What does that mean? If you're feeding the bad wolf, that bad wolf is going to get bigger than the good wolf. So when you feed negative thoughts, when you feed anxiety, the anxiety or depression, whatever it might be, will grow. That's a fact. It will get bigger, and everything that we see, everything that we hear, everything that we taste, smell, and feel is all recorded at the same time. So it's like a gestalt. So it's like a neuro bundle of coding that goes into your brain, and that's literally everything is recorded. And when we're in an intense emotional state, then all that memory is recorded. But what happens is when we're outside, for example, and we have a thought of anxiety, whatever we're doing at that time is also recorded. So our thoughts are recorded as well. And then suddenly the anxiety has gone from being like this to being like this, because it grows, because we've now got added new information into that little neuro bundle, into that little memory of what you're doing at the time. And suddenly this starts to grow and it develops. And then before you know it, people are diagnosed with things like general anxiety disorder because they don't know where the original thought came from. They don't know where the process or the core came from. Because now it's bundled into everything else and it's all linked together. So our brain actually works like a computer and it records everything and it all links it together. So what we got to do is start unlinking it, start chopping those, breaking those links down, so we can get to that core issue. Because we've got to stop feeding that wolf. We've got to go back and go, which wolf are we feeding? What is happening now? What can I do about it? What are my strategies? And what if, and then you challenge it with, what if it doesn't? Well, if it does, then you've got a strategy, and if it doesn't, you've got a new... You're challenging that thought process. So the ego brain, that wolf, is going, nah, we don't want the bad wolf, we want the good wolf. Because the good wolf can take any emotion. So let's get rid of the bad wolf and start focusing on the positive. Start feeding positive thoughts. And if you start by doing this small, for example, a gratitude list. Everything that you're grateful for, or everything that you've achieved, no matter how small. Because it starts to challenge that bad wolf. We do not need that bad wolf. What we need is to learn from the bad wolf and feed the good wolf. We need to be like that old man or that wise person, just to say, look, let's stop this. Start changing your perspective. Look at alternatives. Look at the facts. Look at different strategies. And then you've got a different mindset. And the different mindset will start feeding that other wolf. Now, I like using things like metaphors, which are describing pictures and describing words to see how we feel. And the old Indian, using that metaphor of the two wolves, is quite a powerful story when you start to live it. But this comes from reflecting. Look back at what actions you've taken. Look at the results that you've had, because we live in a cause and effect universe. So we have a cause, a thought. We have an effect, I'm anxious. Because we live in a time-bound society. It's cause and effect. And most people are not aware of the cause. So become aware of the cause and go, actually, this is the effect it's having. I want a different effect, so take a different approach. When you start taking a different approach, you're not feeding that bad wolf, you're feeding the good wolf. So start feeding the good wolf, guys, because it's in within. Everything that we have is in our power. Sometimes we have to go out and educate ourselves. Sometimes we have to study. Sometimes we have to practice. But the power, the motivation, all comes from within. And change comes from within. No matter how difficult it might be, break it down into steps. And that way you've got more chances of achieving it, more chances to accomplish whatever it is that you want to desire. And that will get rid of that bad wolf, so that the good wolf will be the dominant wolf. It will be the default program that you'll start to go to, rather than the negative program that you're already going to. So it's just a quick video on that little story, because it's one of my favourite little quotes. So I want you guys just to start thinking about the positives. Start small. Even if it means, you go outside and there's a pretty little flower and it's like, oh, that's a pretty flower. Well, that's a nice butterfly. Or the ground looks pretty, or the sky looks pretty. You're beginning to change the mindset. You're beginning to create new habits. So don't forget to ring that bell on the old YouTube, so that you get more notifications when the videos come up. And like, subscribe, and please don't forget to share. Let's get this message out to everybody else. You guys are amazing. Thank you very much, and see you later, guys.